Many of us are back. Online, can you hear us? I hope.
Yes.
Stand by. Maria's getting sassy here. That's perfect. Because now what I'm going to do is this. Stand right in front of the camera. All right, where's my Bible? Here we go. Here we go. All right, I hope your lunch was as good as ours, but ours was Chick-fil-A, so I don't know. It was good. I need a nap now. I feel like we got to pray a nap after Chick-fil-A. Like that's just the two things that go together. But we're gonna keep moving on. This afternoon, we're gonna talk about a few different things, real practical topics for how to set up and go through your youth ministry. I know everybody's ministry is different, so we'll talk a little bit in terms of general, like these are some things that need to happen, and then we'll talk a little more specific. Again, take it for what it's worth within your own parish. So take it with a grain of salt. I've told you this before. I'm a nerd. I enjoy sometimes the planning just as much as I enjoy the executing of a certain events, the ministry overall, things like that. My undergrad is actually in business. So one of the first things I do whenever I start up a new ministry, I've worked at about 3 or 4 different parishes and had to build ministry from the ground up. First thing we have to do, that was supposed to be really dramatic. I was going to click. First thing we have to do is get our technology correct. What is going on? There we go. We have to know why we exist. And I know that's really like, oh, great. Now we're rolling our eyes because we're talking about mission statements. This is ministry, not business. Guys, if we don't know why we exist, if we don't know what we're doing, then we're going to be lost and we're going to be starting to pick out things that don't make sense. I think there's a lot of camps, there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of offerings all over the country. But if it doesn't fit into your mission for where your teens are at, for the goals that you're setting for that year, then you don't have to do things every single year. Let me say that again. You don't have to do the same things every single year. There are certain camps I love to go to. I'll go on for 2 years, then we'll reevaluate. We'll take a year off. Sometimes. I love Steubenville conferences, but every single year we will sit down just like, and I'm not picking on Steubenville conferences. This is what we do with every big program we do. I will sit down and say, where are our teens at? Is this one of the things that will help fulfill our mission? Obviously, yes, it does, but how about the goals for this year, right? So strategic planning is something that I think is vitally important when it comes to what our youth ministry is. At the same time, it will also give you an out. I don't know if you have encountered this in ministry, and I'm sure if you haven't, if you stay in ministry long enough, you will get a lot of suggestions on what the youth need to do, right? My favorite phrase starts with, you know what you should do. Okay. And then they'll give you a suggestion. You need to go to that mission. You need to do this conference. You need to read that book. You have to do this program because that is the one where that individual may have encountered Christ, right? So many times they think that's the one where I encountered Christ. So that's the one where everybody's going to encounter Christ. I do the same thing, right? I'm not pointing fingers. I say this a bit, tongue in cheek because we all do it with whatever it is. If you've watched the movie, you're like, oh my gosh, it's the greatest movie. You need to see it. You're going to love it. Right? But if we can go back to our mission statement, especially if we're running things as a team, we can go back to our mission statement and say, okay, you want us to do this. Does this further our mission? Does this fit into why we exist? Now, when we talk about parking cars at the parish picnic, maybe not. Our junior high youth ministry should not be parking cars at the parish picnic, right? So that doesn't further our mission. If anything, it furthers our insurance claims. Right. When I talk about mission statement, this is one of the things that we promote at St. Gregory's everywhere. It's on just about every piece of paper we send out. This is our logo and the scripture that we have chosen to kind of sum up our own mission statement. Go and tell the people everything about this life, Acts 5:20. Go and tell the people everything about this life. And I'm not going to tell you how to write a mission statement because I've learned over the years that everybody who's been in any sort of strategic planning class has learned a slightly different way to write a mission statement. Sometimes it's mission, sometimes it's and vision, sometimes you have to do the mission, you got to do the goals first. Sometimes it's got to be 2 words, other times it has to be 3 sentences. Excuse me. So I don't want to tell you how to write your mission statement. I'm telling you your mission statement should tell me why you exist, should tell your parish why you are an existing organization. Does that make sense? Right. So for me, I've got 2 sort of one mission statement, but two ways of presenting it depending on who I'm talking to. Sometimes we call it the elevator speech. I like the short version a lot of times that says, hey, why do you exist? Well, it's so we can go and tell everyone about this life. Tell the people everything about this life. Okay. If they have more time, then they're saying, well, what does that mean? Explore that, unpack that. And that's where we show them this. I'm really bad at clicking, apparently. I told you I need prayer and a nap after Chick-fil-A. There we go. The long form of our mission statement is this: to foster missionary discipleship by connecting people to Jesus Christ and one another in and through our Catholic faith community. That is why the Youth Ministry and Formation Office, the department, our ministry exists at St. Gregory the Great, to foster missionary discipleship by connecting young people to Jesus Christ and one another in and through our Catholic faith community. It took us a long time to get there, a long time to get it pared down into one sentence. This will never incorporate every buzzword. It shouldn't incorporate every buzzword. This will never incorporate every good word that you want to do. Well, it doesn't say accompany. It doesn't say intentionality. You only use the ministry word once. Actually, we didn't even use ministry in there. Okay. Discipleship, is that Catholic? Yes. Yes, it is, right? Right. Here's the thing. This is what I would say when it comes to mission statement. It should be one sentence. Why you exist. And you can start that sentence with, the youth ministry at Grovetown exists too, right? Or the youth ministry at Statesboro, Fayetteville, Columbus. Now I'm just naming Georgian cities that you'll see my geography is very off, right? Should boil it down to one sentence. There should be those nouns, but also those action words. What are we doing while we exist? We're fostering, we're connecting. You like that? That's a very South Carolina education. We're fostering and connecting. Right, but what are we fostering? Discipleship. Well, discipleship to me is a noun, but also a verb, because you can't do it. You can't just be it. You got to do it, right? And where are we going to do that? In and through, for us, in and through our Catholic faith community. A lot of people have come and said, well, why don't you say adoration? Why don't you say Eucharist? Why doesn't that? And I said, well, first of all, no statement is going to encompass every single thing, right? We know that. But at the same time, if we put it within our Catholic faith community, then I'm trusting that our Catholic faith community in Bluffton is doing a job that incorporates the sacraments, the liturgy, the extras, so to speak, as well as ultimately pointing people to lifelong discipleship, right? Does this make sense? Short version, go and tell the people everything about this life. Long version, to foster missionary discipleship. I've had many. I've had people start with the short version. My last parish, I was trying to explain this to our peer leadership team, and I said, you know, we've got this and we've got this, and I was giving them examples of other mission statements I've done. Young person raised his hand. He's a junior in high school. He goes, so basically, it's I'm a fisherman, so it's basically catch and release, right? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we go out, we catch the fish, we tag them, and then we send them back out. Catch and release. I said, man, that is the greatest analogy I've ever heard. So our short and for a long time, our long mission statement was catch and release. Then we would be able to unpack that. And of course, you do want that full-on mission statement that can tell you, like, this is what we do. I don't know about you guys, but depending on the parish, depending on the region, there are some people in your parish that don't understand what youth ministry is. That's okay. It's not their fault, right? Because a lot of them grew up with that conversation of this is what CYO is, and this is what CCD is, right? And the two shall never be combined or ever mix, right? Do you guys, by the way, know what CCD stands for? Do you guys know? What is it? Right. So how many of you went to CCD classes and you didn't know what they were called? What's Confraternity of Catholic Doctrine? I like that. I wish, can we turn the camera on that?
I just went to it.
I just showed up. That is the most. Oh, mine was absolutely called CCD, and you had to register for CCD, and we had the textbook, and you had to sit there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So that's the newfangled version. Yeah. RE, religious, or prep.
Some of us went to catechism.
Is that Baltimore or new?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right. All right.
Oh, yeah.
CCD, Confraternity of Catholic Doctrine. Guys, if we don't know what we're doing, when I go and explain, when somebody says, what is youth ministry in my parish? First of all, they don't know what CCD stands for, most of them, because we were never told, right? I was in my graduate studies before I understood what Confraternity of Catholic Doctrine actually meant. Right. It meant that class that you had, right?
On Wednesday night.
But this is an easy way for me to explain what we're about, because you'll get grandmas that come in sometimes and say, "Oh, that's cute. You play dodgeball with the kids." I'm like, "Yeah, I do, and I'm really good. So watch out." But what's more is that we do this. We foster missionary discipleship by plugging them back into our Catholic community. Oh, if there has to be some sort of professionalism with what we do. I think youth ministry so often has been that like leftover piece of ministry, and many times people look at that as that continuation of roller skating pizza parties from CYO, and that it was just the social events. So when we talk about youth ministry now, oh, we've just changed the name. That's not true. That's not true. There has to be some sort of legitimacy to what we do, and a mission statement will give us that legitimacy that we can fall back on. So when you want to do the car wash to go to the thing, and they say, well, why? We X, Y, or Z, we can say, because it furthers our mission. This is what we're about. This is what we're trying to do. And this program can help us accomplish our mission, right? We'll get into programming and how that does it later. But that mission statement has to be able to point to exactly what we're looking for. The other thing that I'm keying in on, when we go back to what we're talking about with renewing the vision had those 3 goals at the beginning: empowerment, participation, and growth. Does our mission statement incorporate the totality of what those are: empowerment, participation, and growth? Are we handing on the faith so that it becomes the young person's? Are we asking them to participate in the life of the church? And are we looking at the whole person so that they can grow completely, not just catechetically? All right. And this is difficult. This is something you are not going to accomplish most likely in the next 20 minutes or so. But it's a challenge that I at least want to get those conversations started. Does your parish have a mission statement? Does your ministry have a mission statement? If your parish doesn't, there's nothing I can say to you that'll help you in the next 20 minutes, right? But your ministry can and should have a mission statement that will set forth everything from the calendar planning, from the programming that you choose, to the book study that you may or may not want to do. Okay? Anybody strategic? I don't know what you guys are studying or have studied or what you do in life, but anybody in business or things like that, people at home, have you written mission statements before? Anybody? You guys look really excited about the next. Guess what we get to do? Really, I want to take Andrew? Yes. Oh, you guys are in luck. Just follow whatever Andrew says. Make sure Jesus is in there and Andrew, no. This is the start of a conversation. Like I said, I don't expect you guys to have a full-on mission statement done when our little small group is done. But you got to think about things like this. What do we want to accomplish? What are the verbs that qualify what we do? For us, it's fostering, it's connecting, it's discipling, things like that, okay? So what are the verbs? What are the action words that we actually do while we exist? I go back and forth on buzzwords. Buzzwords come in and out, okay? So you're gonna hear a lot of accompaniment, intentionality, things like that. It's fine to put those in there. Don't put them in there just because they're buzzwords, because 5 years from now, if you guys are still there and the ministry is still up and running, which we hope it will be, it may not be a buzzword anymore. It's still important, but don't feel like you have to put buzzwords in, okay? But be authentic to what the charism, so to speak, of the parish, of your ministry that you've been entrusted is, okay? If you have questions, it'll be easier. Caroline will be monitoring the chat if you guys have questions. I don't mind popping in to each table, but we do want to take about 20 minutes and let you guys get started on forming some of that word thought, that mind mush, right? Put it on paper so we can start to form out, and this will be homework, of course, just like CCD. So you guys can continue to do this, not just today, but yeah, we'll take about 20 minutes and start going after a mission statement. All right. If you have questions, yeah.